Torture. The captives endured hours of torture. The captives endured hours of torture.
折磨
Tournament. He won the chess tournament. He won the chess tournament.
比赛
Toxic. The factory emitted toxic gases. The factory emitted toxic gases.
有毒的
Trademark. Nike's trademark is well known globally. Nike's trademark is well known globally.
商标
Traitor. He was labeled a traitor to his country. He was labeled a traitor to his country.
叛徒
Tramp. The old tramp wandered through the city. The old tramp wandered through the city.
流浪者跋涉
Trample. The crowd trampled the flowers. The crowd trampled the flowers.
踩踏
Transparent. The glass is transparent. The glass is transparent.
透明的
Treasury. The country's treasury is responsible for managing funds. The country's treasury is responsible for managing funds.
国库财政部
Treaty. The nations signed a peace treaty. The nations signed a peace treaty.
条约
Trench. Soldiers took cover in the trenches. Soldiers took cover in the trenches.
壕沟
Tribute. They laid flowers as a tribute to the hero. They laid flowers as a tribute to the hero.
致敬贡品
Trifle. Don't waste time on trifles. Don't waste time on trifles.
琐事
Trim. She trimmed the bushes in the garden. She trimmed the bushes in the garden.
修剪
Triple. The company's revenue tripled in 5 years. The company's revenue tripled in 5 years.
3倍的
Trot. The horse trotted along the path. The horse trotted along the path.
小跑
Trout. They caught a large trout in the river. They caught a large trout in the river.
鳟鱼
Tuck. She tucked the napkin into her shirt. She tucked the napkin into her shirt.
塞进
Tuition. Tuition fees are high at this university. Tuition fees are high at this university.
学费
Tuna. We had tuna sandwiches for lunch. We had tuna sandwiches for lunch.
尾鱼
Tyrant. The king was seen as a tyrant by his people. The king was seen as a tyrant by his people.
暴君
Umpire. The umpire made a fair decision. The umpire made a fair decision.
裁判
Undergraduate. She is an undergraduate at the university. She is an undergraduate at the university.
大学生
Underline. Please underline the main points in the essay. Please underline the main points in the essay.
强调，画底线。
Underneath. He hid the key underneath the mat. He hid the key underneath the mat.
在下面。
Understandable. Her reaction was understandable. Her reaction was understandable.
可以理解的。
Undoubtedly. He is undoubtedly the best candidate. He is undoubtedly the best candidate.
无疑的。
Update. She updated her software. She updated her software.
更新。
Upright. He sat upright in his chair. He sat upright in his chair.
直立的，正直的。
Upward. The balloon floated upward. The balloon floated upward.
向上的。
Utter. She uttered a single word. She uttered a single word.
完全的，说出。
Vacancy. There is a vacancy for a teacher in our school. There is a vacancy for a teacher in our school.
空缺。
Vacuum. They sealed the product in a vacuum. They sealed the product in a vacuum.
真空。
Vague. His explanation was vague. His explanation was vague.
模糊的。
Vanity. His vanity led him to spend hours in front of the mirror. His vanity led him to spend hours in front of the mirror.
虚荣。
Vapor. The bathroom mirror was covered in vapor after the shower. The bathroom mirror was covered in vapor after the shower.
蒸汽。
Vegetation. The region is rich in vegetation. The region is rich in vegetation.
植物。
Veil. She wore a white veil on her wedding day. She wore a white veil on her wedding day.
面纱。
Vein. The nurse located a vein to draw blood. The nurse located a vein to draw blood.
静脉。
Velvet. She wore a red velvet dress. She wore a red velvet dress.
天鹅绒。
Venture. He ventured into the jungle. He ventured into the jungle.
冒险。
Verbal. They reached a verbal agreement. They reached a verbal agreement.
口头的。
Versus. It's Team A versus Team B in the finals. It's Team A versus Team B in the finals.
对抗。
Vertical. The cliff face was almost vertical. The cliff face was almost vertical.
垂直的。
Veto. The president used his veto on the bill. The president used his veto on the bill.
否决。
Via. She traveled to France via London. She traveled to France via London.
通过，经由。
Vibrate. The phone vibrated on the table. The phone vibrated on the table.
震动
Videotape. They watched an old videotape. They watched an old videotape.
录影带
Viewer. The show attracted millions of viewers. The show attracted millions of viewers.
观众
Vigor. He tackled the task with vigor. He tackled the task with vigor.
精力
Vigorous. She made a vigorous effort to complete the project. She made a vigorous effort to complete the project.
精力充沛的
Villain. The villain in the story was very cunning. The villain in the story was very cunning.
反派
Vine. The vine grew up the wall. The vine grew up the wall.
葡萄藤藤蔓
Violinist. The violinist performed beautifully on stage. The violinist performed beautifully on stage.
小提琴家
Visa. She applied for a visa to visit France. She applied for a visa to visit France.
签证
Vow. He made a vow to help his family. He made a vow to help his family.
誓言
Wade. They waded through the shallow river. They waded through the shallow river.
涉水而行
Wail. The child wailed when he lost his toy. The child wailed when he lost his toy.
哀嚎
Ward. He was admitted to the hospital ward. He was admitted to the hospital ward.
病房守护
Ware. The store sells kitchenware. The store sells kitchenware.
商品器皿
Warehouse. The company stores products in a warehouse. The company stores products in a warehouse.
仓库
Warrior. He was a brave warrior on the battlefield. He was a brave warrior on the battlefield.
战士
Wary. She was wary of the strange noises outside. She was wary of the strange noises outside.
谨慎的
Weary. The journey left him weary. The journey left him weary.
疲惫的
Weird. The story had a weird ending. The story had a weird ending.
奇怪的
Wharf. The ship docked at the wharf. The ship docked at the wharf.
码头
Wheelchair. The hospital provides wheelchairs for patients. The hospital provides wheelchairs for patients.
轮椅
Whereabouts. The police investigated his whereabouts. The police investigated his whereabouts.
下落
Whereas. He likes tea, whereas she prefers coffee. He likes tea, whereas she prefers coffee.
然而，反之。
Whine. The dog whined at the door. The dog whined at the door.
抱怨。
Whirl. The leaves whirled in the wind. The leaves whirled in the wind.
旋转。
Whisk. She whisked the eggs for the recipe. She whisked the eggs for the recipe.
搅拌，迅速带走。
Whiskey, whiskey. He ordered a glass of whiskey. He ordered a glass of whiskey.
威士忌。
Wholesale. They bought the supplies wholesale. They bought the supplies wholesale.
批发。
Wholesome. The soup is made with wholesome ingredients. The soup is made with wholesome ingredients.
有益健康的。
Widespread. The disease became widespread. The disease became widespread.
广泛的。
Widow. She became a widow at a young age. She became a widow at a young age.
寡妇。
Widower. He was a widower for many years. He was a widower for many years.
官夫。
Wig. She wore a wig to the party. She wore a wig to the party.
假发。
Wilderness. They went camping in the wilderness. They went camping in the wilderness.
荒野。
Wildlife. The park is home to a lot of wildlife. The park is home to a lot of wildlife.
野生动物。
Wither. The flowers withered in the heat. The flowers withered in the heat.
枯萎。
Woe. He shared tales of his woes with friends. He shared tales of his woes with friends.
悲痛。
Woodpecker. We saw a woodpecker in the forest. We saw a woodpecker in the forest.
啄木鸟。
Workshop. They attended a workshop on pottery. They attended a workshop on pottery.
工作坊。
Worship. They worship at the temple every Sunday. They worship at the temple every Sunday.
崇拜。
Worthwhile. Helping others is always worthwhile. Helping others is always worthwhile.
值得的。
Worthy. He is a worthy candidate for the award. He is a worthy candidate for the award.
值得的，有价值的。
Wreath. They placed a wreath on the memorial. They placed a wreath on the memorial.
花圈，花环。
Wring. He wrung the water from the towel. He wrung the water from the towel.
拧干。
Yacht. They sailed on a luxurious yacht. They sailed on a luxurious yacht.
游艇。
Yarn. She bought colorful yarn for knitting. She bought colorful yarn for knitting.
纱线。
Yeast. Yeast helps bread rise. Yeast helps bread rise.
酵母
Yield. The farm yields a lot of crops each season. The farm yields a lot of crops each season.
产出屈服
Yoga. She practices yoga every morning. She practices yoga every morning.
瑜伽
Zinc. Zinc is often used to prevent rust. Zinc is often used to prevent rust.
锌
Zip. He zipped up his jacket. He zipped up his jacket.
拉链快速移动
Zone. This is a quiet zone in the library. This is a quiet zone in the library.
区域
Zip code. The zip code for that area is 12,345. The zip code for that area is 12,345.
邮递区号
Zoom. The car zoomed past us on the highway. The car zoomed past us on the highway.
急速移动